Hello everyone, Felipe here again here with Daniel. Today I just want to pause a little bit and do something different. Today we're going to talk a little bit about concepts, and we've done some concepts videos in the first lockdown we had. This time I'm going to talk about one that we didn't have time to talk about, which is weight distribution. And this is a very important topic, right? No worries, tomorrow we're going to resume the positions, we're going to keep working from half guard. But today, people, I just want to take some time to talk about this because this is going to be really important for past positions that we saw, for the next positions as well, right? So you guys can understand a little bit how you can use proper technique to become strong, to become heavy, to control someone, or to protect yourselves against to sweep someone. All of those situations are going to be important if we know, are going to be possible if we know how to actually distribute our weight. Alright, so I'm going to divide this video into parts. First, I'm going to talk about control, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about sweeps, alright, how we can manage our weight, okay? So, first part, we're going to talk about control, okay? Okay, everyone, so we're going to talk about control, basically pressure. And what is important for us to understand, everyone, is that pressure is not necessarily related to strength, alright? And I'm going to demonstrate this here with Daniel. As you guys can see, there's a big strength difference. But if Daniel uses proper technique, she's going to be able to control me, alright? Even though I'm twice her size. Important for us to understand is that pressure is basically concentrating your entire weight on one specific point to prevent your opponent from moving. Okay, that's what we want when we apply pressure. Okay, so what is important for us to understand? Let's imagine a scenario. Okay, Daniel is here away from me, not actually smashing me. I just want to illustrate that. Normally, if Daniel is on my side, I usually want to turn towards her, like we saw before, for example, to hip escape and set up my guard. And when I'm here and I'm turning towards Daniel, she wants the opposite. Okay, normally when we're fighting, we're trying to get different things. So if Daniel is controlling me, Daniel want to make sure that I cannot turn. So if Daniel doesn't want me to turn towards her, the point that she wants to control is my shoulder. You guys can see, and you guys can try this at home. We turn over hips and shoulders, okay? If you're able to control hips and shoulders of a person, you're gonna be able to control this person, you're gonna be able to pin this person down, all right? So in this case, if Daniel wants to prevent this motion right here, she has to control this specific point. Okay, of course, guys, I just want to illustrate the pressure in an actual training or fight. This kind of space would never exist. I just want to show you how this works. All right, so let's say Daniel is putting her hand here on my shoulder. But you guys can realize that her weight is not over my shoulder. Her weight is over her hip. All right, so in that case right here, what Daniel is actually using to control my shoulder is her strength. Okay, she's using her arm against my shoulder, and I can guarantee people she is going to lose that. All right, so if I start turning towards her, I was able to push her away, all right, because her strength is not enough to control me. Okay, and even if our strengths were similar, it would be the same. All right, my shoulder is always stronger than my opponent's arm. How can Dani become stronger without quickly going to the fitness area and work out a bit? What Dani needs to do is to start driving her weight over that point that Dani is trying to control. You see now that her shoulder is aligned with my shoulder, which makes this motion way harder. You guys can see that I can barely bring my shoulder up, right? This here is already enough for Dani to pin me down and stay mobile, right? So this is a complicated situation for me to have, right? And Dania is succeeding in the control. Still, in the side control, this is going to be the situation that we're looking for, because we want to find a balance between mobility and pressure. But you guys can see that a lot of her weight is here, but just a second, as long as her knees are on the floor, some of her weight is going to be here as well. Okay, so Daniel was able to control my shoulder, but not to make it uncomfortable for me. All right, so this is the difference. Sometimes you're gonna feel someone with an insane pressure that is basically gonna hurt. Okay, what is changing here with Dania? If Dania is here on her knees with her shoulder aligned with my shoulder, this is controlling. At the moment that Dania takes her knees out of the floor and goes on her toes, now it's hurting. Okay, because Dania now has her entire weight on this specific point, which hurts a lot. Okay, so even though Dania is half my size, half my weight, sadly, she sadly for me actually, she is able to create this really uncomfortable situation for me. Okay, and this is what we are going to use a lot of the times when we're trying to pass guard. Okay, because we want to use our pressure, not our strength, our pressure, to make it uncomfortable for our opponent, so our opponent is no longer able to attack, no longer able to think about anything else other than this uncomfortable situation that we're experiencing. Here, if Dania is just pushing my shoulder with her shoulder over me, I can already like try to find ways to escape. It is bad for me to move, but I still can think clearly. At the moment that Dania starts putting an extra pressure here, where this starts hurting, you guys can see that I'm already turning to the other side and no longer worried about resetting my position, but I just want this to stop, okay? So this is what is gonna change some scenarios. Depending on what I want to get, I'm going to just control my opponent, so that first pressure with the shoulder, that's gonna be enough. If I wanted to make it really bad for my opponent so I can get something else, I'm gonna add the pressure of my hip, okay? So last time that I'm gonna show this, just to illustrate, right now, Dania, using her arm against my shoulder, she lost, all right? I can turn, pushing her. Dania brings her shoulder over my shoulder. Now it's shoulder against shoulder, but Dania is on top of me, so Dania is winning, all right? She's now pinning my shoulder down. For me to turn is gonna be impossible. At the moment that Dania goes on her toes, it's not only her shoulder, but also her hip that comes here into the mix, which makes this really bad for me. And now Dania has not only control, but she's creating this uncomfortable situation for me. So knowing how to distribute your weight is not only like, how can I say, being effective on a sense that you can control your opponent better, it's actually making you stronger. Okay, so very important for you guys to analyze and getting the sense of what you want, where do you want to control, and how you can position your body to achieve the goal that you want. All right, guys, let's check on how we can work in sweeps, how we can use this to sweep someone or to prevent a sweep from happening. Let's go, people. Okay, people, so now we're gonna talk about weight distribution when we go for a sweep. Okay, because what is important for us to understand is that I'm attempting a sweep. I wanna bring my opponent towards my opponent's weight direction. Okay, so what I mean by this, if my opponent is leaning her weight to the left, I want to bring my opponent to the left. If my opponent is bringing her weight to the right, I want to bring my opponent to the right, okay? Because again, fighting against someone's weight, someone's pressure is going to be complicated. If Dania starts adding hips and shoulder, fighting against that, even though I'm stronger than her, I'm not going to be able to sweep. So I'm just going to come back a little bit to a position that we saw a few weeks ago, the one that I started in the half guard actually. So I was here with my half guard, already with my underhook. And realize, people, this is important when we talk also about weight distribution, that the sweep that I'm using is controlling her foot and pushing her down like this. And I can only do that because right now I have both shoulder and hip from Dania controlled, right? And they're not on top of each other. So what I'm using is, I'm using my underhook to keep Dania's shoulder forward, and I'm controlling her leg to keep Dania's hip controlled. So if Dania wants to posture up right now, if she wants to sit on her heels, try to sit, my underhook is preventing that from happening, okay? And if I have this disconnection between hips and shoulder, now is the appropriate time for me to get a sweep. That's what I want, right? So as soon as I have this situation and I'm gonna go for the sweep, so I'm gonna control her foot so she cannot use the foot, and I'm gonna bring myself up, okay? So the first sweep that I showed, like I said, I'm controlling her foot, I'm gonna be pushing with my shoulder, and Dania is falling, okay? So why is Dania falling? First, because I have the control of her limb and she cannot use this leg, but she's falling towards her left because I was able to push her weight to the left, okay? And she went on the ground and I'm able to control her from the top, all right? But let's say that I'm here, okay? I controlled her foot, just like before, underhook in place so Dania cannot posture up. I bring myself up, I push Dania to the left, and what Dania is doing is pushing herself to the right. Guys, if we have this scenario right here, I can put my entire pressure, lift my leg, and Dania is not gonna fall. And again, Dania didn't just suddenly got stronger. She's just using proper technique to make herself heavy, to make herself stronger. So she's positioning her entire body towards the other side. So for me, everyone, I don't want to be fighting against my opponent's pressure, my opponent's weight. Instead of trying to push her to the left, her weight is to the right. So I'm just gonna flip her to her right. She's gonna be super light, and I'm gonna be able to get this sweep. So understanding where your opponent's weight is gonna make a very big difference if you're when you're trying to get your opponent down. We're talking about sweeps, but we can say the same about takedowns, okay? I'm gonna focus on the sweeps because this is already on the topic, but it works the same way. So understanding where your opponent is putting the weight is gonna be very important for you. Another position that we saw was side control defense, for example. I was here with Dania, right? And she was on top of me, facing me like this, and I showed two positions from here. First position, I was controlling the arm, and here, Dania's hip is out of the ground. If Dania's hip is out of the ground, her weight is on top of me, and I can feel that, right? I can feel that Dania is using this leg right here to drag her weight on top of me. So coming up towards her is not gonna be possible because her weight is towards her right, so I'm gonna push her towards her right, right? Let's say that Dania is here, she's putting her pressure on top of me. When I try to move, her reaction is to sit. So now her weight is towards the left. If I try to move her towards the right, it's impossible, okay? So instead of trying to move her towards her right, her weight is towards her left. So I'm just gonna bring myself up and I'm gonna be controlling her, all right? So understanding this is going to decide whether you get the sweep or not. And this is also very important, people, because when you're fighting or training against someone who knows how to distribute your weight, this back and forth is gonna be really necessary, right? Because you have to count on your opponent's weight distribution, all right? So if I'm trying to push my opponent to the right, I know that my opponent is gonna bring the weight towards the other position. So I have to have the other option already prepared. What I mean by this, let's come back to this position. Dania's on my side, right? I'm gonna bring her towards her right, knowing that I'm gonna push her to the left because she will react, and I have to keep that in mind. So I'm gonna push her here, she's gonna sit, I'm gonna bring myself up and get the position. So counting on your opponent's reaction to do your action in this case is gonna be very important. So we need to understand this game. On the other hand, people, one thing that I like to point out is that when we do that, when we try something to get something else, I'm not fainting, okay? I'm trying my best to get this position, okay? I see a lot of people that they attempt something to get something else, but they don't really attempt, they don't put a thread. So what I mean is, going back to this position, if I want to make Dania be heavy on the other side, I have this first attempt, has to be 100%. So she throws her weight all the way down, and I can bring myself up. If I'm here and I just do this, just fake a little bit, then it's not gonna react the way I want, okay? I need to do this attempt 100%, so she can react 100% and give me the opening I want. If she doesn't react, then I'm gonna get my first attack either way, right? I know Dania's already a blue belt, she will react, I know this, I have to be expecting this. So it will always work like that. I try something, she defends, I get something else. What works the other way around as well. If I push Dania here, she's gonna bring her weight up, and I'm gonna be able to flip her over and get the position. So playing with your opponent's weight distribution is also gonna be very important for you guys to get a sweep or not. And it's always important for you guys to understand, the lower your hips are, the heavier you get, okay? So that's why it's easy to understand. You see runners, they go like this, straight, hips up, so they can be faster, okay? The higher you are, the taller you are, the faster you're gonna be. Wrestlers, or when we fight also, we're always here with the hips low because we want to be heavy, all right? So that's why we keep our hips low to become heavier. Mobility goes down, but the weight, the stability goes up. So we're always gonna have to make the switches. Sometimes you're gonna be trying to stay on top, and this is important for you to assess as well. Whether your hips stay high, whether your hips stay low. You wanna be mobile, hips higher. You wanna be heavier, hips lower. We're gonna have a few exceptions on this matter, but it's important for you guys to have this understanding because it's gonna play a very big difference. And this is not just important for the positions that we saw, but it's also gonna be very important for the positions that we're gonna see, right? We're gonna talk about sweeps in a lot of videos. So I just wanted you guys to have this in your minds, all right? Guys, I know that I talked a lot. I know that it's too much. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments, or Tuesday, I'm live, okay? So just check it out. Soon I'm gonna be live on the Zoom meeting. I always put the link below on the Facebook group, so you guys can talk to me. We can talk a little bit more about this if this wasn't enough. All right? See you guys tomorrow. We're gonna talk about more positions. No worries. I just wanted to clear this out before we move forward. Okay? See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.